Welcome to episode 21 of Diary of a Private Investigator. My name is Nathan and I am the owner and lead investigator of Dolos Investigations based in Sheffield and Doncaster. It's been a bit of a while, hasn't it? It's been 3 months. I've had a bit of a break. Don't worry everybody, I'm back bigger and stronger. Just needed a bit of time to equilibrate, if that's the right word. Probably not, but hey, I can just make words up on the spot, not to worry. I'm back. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all the emails that I've received and the buy me a coffees. I've had some lovely emails saying, Nathan, where are you? Hope you're still recording. Thanks to Verity, who also asked me a question, Richard and Dell, for reaching out. So I'm going to pick up on Verity's question in the body of the podcast. Today's episode is going to be a little bit about trackers. I've had a few tracker jobs over the last few months, so I just wanted to touch upon a few tracker stories with you. We've got one about a kit debate that was in one of the closed groups that I'm in for the surveillance side of things. Just wanted to give my take on kit and pricings and things like that. And then we're going to talk about the dark subject of rape. I've had a couple of jobs recently regarding rapes, both helping the victim and also assisting the suspect, which, as I've said on previous episodes, sometimes sits a little bit weird for me. But as a former police officer, I was always independent in my investigations and went where the evidence took me. So I have to do that when I'm dealing with whoever is either accused or the accuser. So we're going to talk about that. So thank you to the people that reached out for me. And I absolutely love it when you email me or message me and quote, love the episode, it's informative and educational or informative. I can't remember. Do you know when you need glasses, when you get to age when you need glasses and you never wear your glasses? That's my age now. A couple of people reached out on buymeacoffee.com. Will, Jacqueline and Kath. Thank you for your donations and also your messages of support. We are back. Right, so I'm going to talk about trackers. I've been told I've got to be punchy, so I'm on my second flat white already to try and get that punch level right up there and get back into it. I had a couple of tracker jobs recently, which tickled me. So customer contacts me and sort of says, oh yeah, like, it always starts, they never tell you the truth, do they? They always ring up and go, oh yeah, I'm interested in doing surveillance on my partner, blah, 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 blah. This is the script. I come out with say more questions. Oh, do you think you know who they're doing it with? When do you think they're meeting? How do we do it? Blah, 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 blah. And inevitably it'll turn into, well, we can put a tracker on your partner's car. This will tell us where they are. And then about halfway through the conversation, it'll be, yeah, I tried putting a tracker on and she found it. And you're like, all right, okay, what was that all about then? Yeah, I bought one of those Apple AirTags and it connected to a phone. And you're like, well, yeah, that's what they do. Did you not read the description of what Apple AirTags are designed for? I did a little bit of research quite a few months ago now, actually. And there's obviously quite a lot of people out there that still don't quite realise that Apple AirTags aren't designed for surveillance. They are designed for lost items. And not just Apple, there's all the other major brands out there that make them. It's designed that if you are parted from, say you put it in your bag and you're parted from your bag, it will ping up on a nearby telephone to say, there is an AirTag near you. Please return the lost property back to the owner. Maybe counterintuitive if it's a theft, but that's kind of what they're designed for. And I've had quite a few customers recently come to me and sort of say, oh yeah, I've tried to do it myself, it failed, and now I need you. And as I've said in the past, I've always said, well, that makes my job 10 times harder, and I just wish you to come back to me. You'd have come to me first rather than now saying I've made it harder. So I had one client recently who we went through this scenario, and so I was like, all right, okay. Then went through it, and he's like, no, I think we'll be fine. You can put one of your trackers on. So I was like, right, okay, I will, I can, but if it's discovered, you're paying for a new one for me, because obviously the risk is now 10 times higher. Why should I lose my expensive kit just because you're like, yeah, be right, you just crack on. So he's like, no, I don't think she'll find it. So I was like, well, okay, but if she does, you're still paying for it. So he's like, all right, yeah, well, yeah, I don't think she'll find it. So yeah, that's okay. So I go out, and he manages to get hold of the car. So we meet somewhere, and I get underneath the car. No great secrets there. They go underneath the car. So I go underneath the car, put the tracker on, and he's like, oh, where have you put it? So I was like, well, you're going to have to lay down on the floor. So he lays down on the floor, and he has to look, and he's like looking at it, and he's like, yeah, it's a bit obvious, that, isn't it? And I'm like, what? It's a bit obvious. Well, yeah, it's obvious if you lay down on the floor, stick your head underneath your car. Do you think your female partner's going to do that? And I'm not stereotyping there, because yes, females can be mechanics as well. But she wasn't. She was a high heel wearing type of occupation. So I wouldn't imagine that she'd be laying down. He's like, yeah, well, can we put it somewhere else? And I'm thinking, I'm not convinced that what you're telling me is accurate in respect of, no, she'll definitely not find it. So I'm like, yeah, give me a couple of minutes then, like move your head then, because now it's getting a little bit homoerotic with us both laid down underneath the car together within like kissing distance. Call me heterosexual, but I'm not really into men. So he gets back up and leaves. So I managed to, without giving any trade secrets away, which is another point I'm going to talk about, I managed to get it like really well hidden away. And he's like, so he gets down, he's like, where is it now? So I'll try and find it. And he's like, I can't find it anywhere. And I'm like, ta-da, that's why you employ me. So off he went. But I've had a couple of those recently where they're like, well, I've been caught, now it's your turn. So can you remember, I've had a couple of messages saying, oh, I've been smashing through your episodes. Like obviously I get people who only just discover me and then listen to them. For people who've listened to me every month, catch your mind back now 2 years ago, where right at the very start I said there's going to be a couple of trade secrets that I'm not going to tell you. At the end of the day, some of the stuff that we do should be kept secret. I don't think we should as content creators. That sounds a bit up my own bum, that, I don't know. I'm a content creator. There's some stuff out there that I don't think we should talk about as surveillance operatives or private investigators. Now, Teslas are a pain in the bum for private investigators because they've got 360 cameras, plastic underbodies, nightmare. A story. I've got these notes down here, or rather, I've got bullet points or words, but I just make up as I go along. Let's face it. So there was an investigator a while back who went to go and put a tracker on a Tesla. So the story goes, allegedly, because I wasn't there, so I don't know. But they were told, watch out, Tesla's got 360 cameras. So they were told where to put it, because there is pretty much only one place that you can put it. And obviously that's the bit that I'm not going to tell you. There's only one place that you can put it on a Tesla. So he was given the instruction, this is what you need to do. So he goes out and he's middle of the night, pitch black. He's walking up the drive. Nice and quiet. It's like walking up the drive. And all of a sudden, floodlights come on because it's quite a posh house. You've got to be to own a Tesla, in my opinion. All these floodlights come on, and it's like something like Terry's All Gold, like pa-ching, chung, like you know, like somebody escaping from prison, and all these searchlights come on. And he's like giving it one of these. Obviously, you've got to watch what I'm doing now. Most people listen to me, but I've basically got my hands up in the air, and he's like shimmying around going, what shall I do? What shall I do? What shall I do? So and he's not covered his face up. He's not covered his face up or anything. He's like, oh, what shall I do? What shall I do? So he's like running around this Tesla, and he's like trying to find the spot where he knows he needs to put it. And basically all cameras come on, and we got 360 different angles of his face. And then he obviously then starred in the local Facebook page. Does anybody who know who this burglar is? So that went down well in the annals of surveillance history. So the kit. So I've got so I had a job for a Tesla, which is why I'm talking about Teslas. So I've had a job recently for a Tesla, and I had to get a bespoke tracker for that particular stuff. So what kind of irks me a little bit is when people DIY surveillance and then come to you and go, "Oh, by the way, can you do it?" And you're like, "Well, I know you might think anybody can do surveillance, but actually there is a skill set, and the kit that we use is bespoke kit. So that's why we do it. It might be a bit of a rambling episode, this one, because I'm a little bit out of practice. I've had a couple of months off, but equally I've had enough flat whites now to just blat through in that way, that style that I inevitably have. We were talking about kits. So once you become a surveillance operative or a private investigator, and there is a difference, which I'll hopefully, if I remember, I'll come back onto towards the end and wrap it all up into a neat little parcel for you, a parcel of enjoyment. On one of the closed groups that we've got with the surveillance operatives, we were talking. It started off by talking about prices and. There's always somebody out there that thinks we should get paid more than what we get paid for. And they're generally the ones who don't have their own website. So then, therefore, they don't have their overheads. They don't have to pay for the SEO. They don't have to pay for the upkeep of the website and everything that goes with owning a business. And they're not generally, it might be a bit unfair to the others, but there's a couple who go, "Oh, I should get paid more. I've got this kit and I've got that kit," and the kind of conversation. And I looked at it and I thought, I've got an opinion on that. My opinion, and I think I've probably said on the show before that I have to pay for all these things. So yeah, I charge a bigger hourly rate, and then I have to sub it out. I pay them a lesser rate, clearly, because I have to A, make a profit, and B, pay for things. So then the conversation turned into kit. And I'm watching it, I'm reading all the messages, but I'm a bit of one of these like lurker types that I read it all and then I just can't be asked to comment, because whenever you comment, you can't change anybody's mind. If somebody thinks they should be paid more, the kind of person that you could spend an hour with debating and they'll still come away going, "No, but I'm that good, I need paying more," and it's about professionalizing the industry. And they got talking about kit, and there was a comment that somebody came out with, one of the operators, and saying, "Well, I'm worth more money because I've got more kit. You should pay me more money because I've invested in all this kit." And then there were other people going, yeah, no, you're right, and somebody took piss out of me last week because they expected me to deploy this and do that. And I'm reading it all, and I'm just thinking, is it not expected that you have the right kit? Like if I subbed you out, or if I hired you as a client and came to you direct and sort of said, "I've got a job," do you like charge more? Do you go, "Oh, that job that's gonna need a drone, so I'm gonna charge you more for that," or is it expected that you've got the right kit? Now, again, I like to do these things because then I like the audience to think about what the answer is going to be. Would you pay more for an investigator that's got a drone, for example, or a secret camera that gets hidden somewhere, or would you just expect them to have it? I mean, I was thinking. So I'm watching this thing, and I'm thinking, if I got a painter and decorator in to do my stairs. And they tipped up and went, "Oh, yeah, looking at stair, dogleg staircase, yeah. Probably £500 for 3 days work." I mean, obviously not knowing what painter and decorators charge, but 500, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. He says, "Yeah, but I ain't got any step ladders that's going to reach top of your dogleg. So I need you to buy me some ladders so I can reach up that high. And then obviously I'll need some other specialist kit to order to cut the wallpaper once it's then. I don't really have a long knife or any kit, so I'll need you to pay that for me as well." Would you hire him? Or would you just go, "Well, if you've not got the right kit, clearly you're not going to get the job," which is kind of like where my head settled. I was just sort of reading it all and thinking, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's a valid point when it comes to things like a drop cam or a tracker. I would advertise the job and say, "I've got this job. Do you have this kit?" If I'm charging the client for, say, a tracker, then I would enhance the payment if I was subbing it out. But I wouldn't just advertise it and then go, oh, and by the way, whilst you're there, can you then deploy this kit for me? So I think it's part and parcel. So my take on it was, if you've got the kit, you will get more work because you've got the kit and you're a person that I trust and I'll come to. If you're a person that turns around and sort of says, well, I ain't got that, but you need to pay me to go and get it, I'll be like, okay, well, I'll probably not use you again then, or not even give you a job in first place. Just a bit of a weird one, really. I just always wanted to bring it up because, like I said, I can't be bothered to put my opinion in these groups, because you get like 20 odd people all going, yeah, and then it's generally it's the chick that shouts loudest for the worm that gets all the support, and then and then you'll get somebody who go, actually no, I think this, and then they'll be like, oh no, and then they all like kind of turn on them like, and that's the baby chick. I suppose all chicks are babies. The youngest baby chick, and they kind of so I just read it and just think, I can't be arsed, but guess what? This is my platform and nobody can answer me back. So I'm just going to talk about it now and let you guys think about it. Rattling through, I could tell I've had a coffee. Rattling through this. Right, sponsorship. Normally, I would say this show is sponsored by a certain SEO person, but that SEO person has now gone and got a job, become employed and is no longer freelance, and therefore no longer needs to sponsor the show. So fuck that guy. Don't contact him because he don't do SEO anymore. So no, I'm only joking. He was a good guy, but for the sake of his family and the greater good, and obviously I'm assuming more money, he's gone to employment and packed in the freelance stuff. So good luck to him, Joe. Well done. But that kind of leaves me in a bit of a hole, shall we say. I've got to find another SEO person, which I'm just in the middle of sorting out at the moment. But I'm also after another sponsor for the show. So in particular, if any of my listeners do or know anybody that does marketing, I'd be interested to hear from them, to have a conversation as to whether you want to sponsor the show and then in turn do a bit of marketing for me. I'd be interested in that. Or failing that, anybody else that likes the show and thinks, yeah, actually, I won't mind a shout out every month, would do that. So yeah, so we are sponsorless at the moment. Sad times. Moving on, he said, looking down. Right, rapes. So recently, I've got a couple of jobs. I'm going to talk about rapes for a minute, and then I'm going to talk about an assault. So what I found is over this last year or two, more and more clients are turning to private investigators to assist with criminal cases, and sometimes it's for the defense, sometimes it's for advice. With they are the victim, and I will help both equally. I will listen to both sides of it. But there's a couple of sort of key takeaways that I wanted to talk about, because like I said, sometimes I'm humorous and entertaining, and sometimes I'm informative, and this is the informative bit. Right, I'm going to start off with the definition of a rape, because I don't think everybody knows or appreciates what rape is. And he says, so rape changed in 2003. If memory serves, I think before this legislation came out, unless I'm thinking about the previous one, which was in the 1950s, I think it might be the earlier one, actually. I'm going off memory. I haven't researched this bit. But it wasn't illegal to rape your wife. That must have been the one that was in the 1950s, surely. So everything changes. I'm pretty certain that's the case. But yeah, so 2003 Sexual Offences Act is when all the sexual offences got re-looked at and got put through legislation. And basically, it's intentionally penetrates a vagina, anus, or mouth. I love saying anus, even though it's meant to be a serious subject. In fact, cut that bit out, because I can't really say that. I'll cut that bit out, Adam. I can't say anus when I'm talking about rape. I love saying anus. I try and keep it serious. Right. So, Sexual Offences Act 2003, Section 1. It intentionally penetrates the vagina, the anus, or mouth with a penis. Now, I don't think everybody knows, or maybe I'm wrong, I don't think everybody knows that you can commit rape orally. So, vagina, anus, or mouth with a penis. Now, there's a whole new debate there about, have you got penis? Have you not got penis? What sexuality are you? I think the law's pretty black and white, that you kind of need a penis on that one, no matter what you describe yourself as. Oh, God, my right is terrible. Intentionally penetrates vagina, anus, or mouth with a penis. And the other does not consent, or they do not reasonably believe that the other person consents. So, does not reasonably believe. Now, guys and gals, that basically means is that if your woman is asleep or the woman is asleep, you cannot have intercourse with them in any of those three orifices, because you cannot reasonably believe that they are consenting to it because they are asleep. And that's the same for if they are stupefied by alcohol or drugs. So, sorry, boys, you can't do it. You need consent. Okay, so that's quite important. And I'm sorry if I sometimes get a little bit flippant in what I'm doing on quite a serious subject. That I think it's important that you understand what rape is. In one of the jobs that I had in the police, one of my jobs was a gatekeeper, to look at rape cases, to review the evidence, and then it was my decision as to then whether it went to CPS or not. I've done a bit of research onto it just to give you some facts and figures. There's, depending on which website you read and what have you, an AI, which I'm still untrustworthy of because I'm old and fuddy-duddy. So I always take what AI tells me with a pinch of salt. But roughly speaking, 2024, just under 70,000 reports of rape. Now, interestingly, question for you. Out of 70,000, roughly, how many do you think of those complaints the offender was charged with rape? I'm going to pause. I'm going to have a drink of coffee and pause while you shout out the answer. Depending on which source you read and which year, you're looking at a roughly 3 to 5% of offenders that allege rape were charged that got to CPS. And of those, there was about again, depending on which one, about 50% of those received a conviction. So for every rape allegation, you've got roughly a 2% conviction rate, which is scary for those that don't know. And there are a couple of reasons why rapes are difficult to prove. 9 times out of 10, he said, just making statistics up, there's only the male and the female, or male and male. Excuse me, still getting over chest infection, which is one of the reasons why I've been gone for a while. Yeah, generally speaking, there's only 2 people in the room. Clearly, you get gang rapes. Yeah, I know that, Nathan. I didn't come down in the last rain shower. So obtaining witness statements is difficult. It's generally up to the event and what they call first account, which is the person who they tell immediately after the rape or not immediately after the rape, which again, I'll come on to. So really, rapes, the main body of evidence is going to be the forensics, and that's the forensics either inside the woman, outside the woman, clothing of woman, or settee or bed sheets. That's we class them as seen. We get quite cold as cops because we'll go. We actually refer to people as scenes. I mean, how cold can you get when you go, oh yeah, Sally, she's scene 1, bed scene too, and it kind of dehumidifies it. But that's just the way that police are. It doesn't mean that we don't treat them with the compassion and the empathy that they deserve. It's just we go, oh, that's a scene, and then you've got the man, you got the scene, which is obviously the penis, which needs to be swabbed, and then you've got the underwear, and then, like I said, the other scene is generally where it happened, whether it's a vehicle, a bed, an alley. I don't know if I've told you this story in the past as well. When I was in the cops, when I was in uniform, when I've had to stand outside a bin for 5 hours, 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. in winter, -5. We need somebody to scene sit this bin with this blue tape round. It's like, right, who's the probationer? Nathan, you're stood at that scene for 5 hours in the freezing cold. So so obviously you need the forensic evidence because you need to prove intercourse. And boys and girls, pre-ejaculate does emit DNA. So just, you don't, again, it's a bit one of those that, oh, it didn't come, so therefore it's not rape, or it didn't come, so you'll not prove it. Sorry about that. There's DNA in pre-ejaculate, and without getting too, well, it is graphic. That generally starts the process anyway, because obviously it aids lubrication. So pretty much at the point of that, there's a chance that you're going to get caught. Second type of forensics that the cops are looking for is going to be injury. And that's tends to be on the woman or the victim, because men can get raped as well. Remember the definition. So you're looking at internal injury to the thighs, or any other bruising anywhere else where they've been forcibly held down. And the third main way of looking at a rape and proving it is first account. And that is, when and what did they say to it's generally the best friend, can be parents or any other person. So you have to weigh all that up. And my job, which I didn't envy myself doing it, because it wasn't the best, because you read them and you literally just got to take out all your emotion and just go through it and go, right, what are the chances that this is going to get through CAPS? And it has to have the threshold has to have a reasonable chance of conviction. So I had to look at it, and it was quite a difficult job actually, because you know that quite a number of these cases that you're looking at, I believed that they were genuine rapes, but I don't have to look at it and say, is this a genuine rape? I have to look at it and go, what are the chances of a successful prosecution? Which again, as you're listening to this, you might think, Nathan, that's awful. All of these bastards should be charged. So that's a fair comment, but not all of the offenders commit the crime. And there are other reasons as to why they may not have done it, whether it's religious reasons, they've got partners or whatever. And I'm definitely not going to start saying it's because they withdrew consent at the last minute or something like that. A woman has a right to withdraw consent at any time, and men should respect that. So it's not a case of that. So it's a massively difficult situation. And so one of the jobs that I've been dealing with is the I'll just say offender. I'm going to do air quotes, but it's the offender, just to speak plainly. And when I was giving this person advice, because clearly they were absolutely adamant that they haven't done it, so we explored all the reasons on how we can show and prove that they didn't do it. Now, absolutely 100%, and really I shouldn't need to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I never ever, and nobody should ever suggest, if you say this, that would get you off with it. Absolutely not. Solicitors don't/shouldn't do it, and neither do I. It should be a case of, right, what happened? You give me your account. Once you've given me your account, we will then look at your Again, you can't really have mitigation because, let's face it, if you're raping somebody, it's not really mitigation. Well, I've never raped anybody before. Oh, that's all right then. If you're not done it before, then that's fine. We're not looking at that. Well, for me personally, it's black and white. If you've done it, then you've done it, and that's it. So we're looking at ways to prove that they didn't do it. And when I was talking to them, we were talking about, like, so latterly when I was in the police, before I came out, they introduced something called RUI, released under investigation. And this was on the back of people being on bail, and it was a group of famous people around the same time. And I'm sorry, Dave Lee Travis, but you're the only guy that I can remember. But there were a couple of DJs and what have you that it was alleged that they'd committed sexual offences and they had to answer bail. And so they'd turn up, and then the press would be waiting for them. Every 3 months they'd tip up, and then they wouldn't, because rape cases take ages to get through the process to get charged and then go to court and CPS and all that kind of business. They just kept on getting rebailed and rebailed and rebailed. And they basically took it to court and sort of said, look, this is such a stressful situation being the perceived offender, to then keep going back and to have the cameras there waiting for us. It's an adverse effect on their mental health. And whilst we have come on as a society and law and what have you, leaps and bounds in dealing with the victim and everything that we provide to the victim, which is good. Don't get me wrong, I support that. It should be victim focused, definitely. Sometimes the offender gets left behind in all that. And they changed it and said, well, what we'll do now is, instead of having you back on bail, we'll just release you under investigation, which basically means you don't have an obligation now to come back to court. Come back to the police station. We'll just contact you as and when we have a point of a decision from either CPS or a gatekeeper, like I used to do. And in my experience, when I was in the cops, sometimes the cops didn't, once it got filed, obviously my job was to give an answer, yay or nay, to CPS. And if it was a nay, I didn't feel there was strong enough evidence, I'd do a report. This is my thought process. This is everything I've thought. And these are my reasons why I don't think it should go to CPS. And then I sign it off and it goes away. And obviously the officer was told that they then need to tell the offender. And there were times, because people are humans. That's an obvious statement, isn't it? Cops are humans as well. They didn't always tell the offender. And sometimes you get a phone call going, I've been RUI now for 12 months. Like, what is happening? And it'd be like, oh, I'll just look into that. Oh yeah, that matter got filed 6 months ago. And it's extremely destructive as a victim. But I think sometimes we forget about the offender. And I'm sorry, because I know I've talked about this in the past. And I think it should be balanced out. I think it should be balanced out for the offender and the victim. Because the mental health aspect on them, because not everybody's guilty. And I think it's important that we do that. So I have been supporting an offender. We've been looking at why we can prove he didn't do it, and we're exploring that. And in this day and age, it's quite amazing. So I went down to London town to do some CCTV inquiries and mapping out with the route taken and sort of ANPR and cameras and things like that, looking into to prove the alibi that he couldn't have done it because. So I was doing that. On the other side, I've given support. Like I said, sometimes my job is 50% psychologist, 50% private investigator. And so I've spoken to victims, and I think sometimes my job, and this is kind of looping right back to when I said right at the start, I'm going to loop back to the difference between a surveillance operative and a private investigator. I think sometimes this is why, as a private investigator, being an ex-cop helps, because I know the processes. And sometimes I even turn into a bit of almost like a consultant, that people come to me and go, all right, this is what's happened. What do you think? And so I'll give them advice. Well, this is the process. This is why you're on bail. This is why they stuck a cotton bud where they stuck a cotton bud, and this is what we're doing, and this is the process. And sadly, again, with rape cases in particular, which is the topic I'm talking about today, it's such a bloody drawn out process. And I would love a way that the cops and the government and all the rest of it could actually expedite cases like this. Because again, one of the facts that I read, it was something like there was a 24% drop-off rate from the time when the victim reports it to actually, I think it was going to CPS I think it was from that time until CPS actually made a decision. The victim then just pulled out and just went, can't deal with it anymore, because obviously they've got a lot of pressure going off in their life, and it's just the conviction rate shocking. And there was something else as well that I want to pick up on. So a couple of years ago, the CPS wanted to increase the conviction rate, and the way that they did that was only putting to court the stronger cases. Can you actually believe that? So all the iffy cases, we'll just not take those to court, and we'll only take the stronger cases, and therefore we'll get a higher conviction rate. That might be a little bit of massaging figures, if ever I heard of it. But I think that well, I know that's changed now. They got, strangely enough, they got rid of that scheme. So it's a fairer process. So that was, there was something else I was going to say, and when I listen back to this in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to go, Nathan, you should have said that. Should have said that. So I basically wanted to talk about rape. I think it's an important topic to talk about. I wanted to talk about the wheres and the wherefores and the police and the investigation, and why it takes so long. But the point that I'm kind of leading to, or the story of this podcast and how it goes, is the police are under so much pressure and they are understaffed. Now, I think my audience are probably pro-police. I dare say there's people out there who listen to this who aren't and don't like them for whatever reason. I always try to be fair and balanced as an ex-cop. If they need slagging off, I'll slag them off. They're just overworked, understaffed, and it's bonkers. And one of the cases that I was dealing with recently, the cops hadn't been out and secured the CCTV, and the cops hadn't spoken to, that was it, the time limit. Quick, write that down, time. The cops hadn't even been out and spoken to the witness who was first disclosure. It's just tardy. It's just no reasons. But I was sort of saying to to the offender, whilst this is paramount in your head and it's the most important thing that's ever happened to you, and I dare say I could say the same to the victim. The problem is the cops probably got 20 other rape cases that they're dealing with, and they have to prioritize what they're dealing with, and they're spinning plates. That's not acceptable. But I'm not here to get on my political chair on that one. That was the bit I was going to think about, and I've just remembered. So, again, another misnomer. That's not a female gnome, by the way. Bad joke. That's a dad joke. That one, isn't it? Flipping heck. Even I thought that was crap. Another misnomer is a time of reporting. So, again, you'll get people who'll go, well, she didn't tell cops straight away, or she didn't tell cops in the morning, or there's an incident that I dealt with where a victim reported a theft. The cops came out, took the report of theft, but the theft was part of the rape, and the victim didn't say about the rape. I don't think we should read anything into that. I tried to look for some stats about time limits on when people report a rape. And again, as a lay person, maybe I'm thinking for you, but I think the layperson out there looks at it and think, well, if I got raped, I'd just report it straight away. How come why did it take them 3 days? And the other one is why did you go home and have a shower? Surely you've got rid of the evidence, so therefore it didn't happen. And I think you just need to sit back a little bit and think, what was the victim going through? And there's a number of reasons why they don't always report rape. You've got the shame of it. the feeling dirty, embarrassed, afraid. There's all sorts of emotions that are going through the person's head. They're not even thinking straight. Sometimes they're not even there mentally. They're just physically going through the process of having a shower and getting dressed and having breakfast and going through it. There's a million reasons, and again, that's something you kind of learn or taught in the police, that you should never, just because they didn't report it immediately. There's a number of reasons: religious reasons, family reasons. What you don't know. So again, you can't ever go, and you can't walk a mile in my shoes. You can't judge a person when it comes to that. So you have to as a cop, you have to be clinical when you're investigating it. Anyway, like they say on all the videos, if I've missed anything or you want to debate anything, by all means, ping me an email over, and I'll bring it up on the next episode or chat to you personally. You can email me at diaryofaprivateinvestigator@gmail.com. So what I'm finding more and more is clients are turning to me. Obviously, I can't speak for the private investigators. I don't know. More and more for police issues. So again, a recent case that I've had is an assault. And again, actually, I was doing the CCTV inquiries, and this particular assault happened in a city centre, covered by CCTV, and the victim didn't feel that they were being supported correctly by the police. And so I was brought in to assist, to see what I could find out and to see how the offence was progressing and what have you. And so, again, I did the CCTV troll, but I also, to some respect, did the cop's job, where I was going around and I was talking to the door staff, I was talking to managers. GDPR is a pain in the arse these days, isn't it? You've got the subject access request, which, interestingly, which I thought was a bit strange. So, subject access request, anybody out there can approach a body and say, I want to know what information you have on me. And so when I'm looking at what to do about the CCTV to try and obtain it all, I can do a subject access request or an information sharing document, whatever you want to call it, and serve it upon the pub on behalf of the victim and say, I would like you to provide CCTV in respect of me being assaulted outside your bar. And did you know, and of course the answer is, no, I didn't, Nathan. Thank you for telling me. Did you know that they are obligated to give you that information? However, in respect of CCTV, they only have to give it in respect of you. Therefore, they have to pixelate out other people's faces, which makes it somewhat difficult to try and find out who the offenders are. And also part of what is written, and if anybody works for the ICO, feel free to comment otherwise. But if it's impractical to pixel out, that's a funny thing to say, isn't it? Pixelate out the other people in the imagery, which as a pub fight, you'd imagine it's going to be darn hard. Therefore, to fulfill the obligation, all they have to do is physically describe what they can see on the screen, which again makes private investigators' job a little bit harder. And as I found myself saying, this was much easier when I was in the cops, because I would go in and say, I need your CCTV of this incident. And anybody that said no, I generally turned around and sort of said, well, under section 17 of PACE, I'm going to seize this as evidence, and therefore I'm just going to seize your CCTV system. Allegedly, that's what I said anyway, because technically speaking, it's a bit sledgehammer to crack a nut. But you could get away with it, and people, oh, in that case, officer, I'll burn it you off. Whereas now I tip up and I'm like, yeah, I need it, and they're like, nope, GDPR, no, only police can have it, no. So what I've been doing recently is saying to them, well, this is the incident that I'm investigating. I get it, but what I need you to do is, can you burn it off before the 28 days? Because on this assault job I've just been dealing with, we got to day 27 and the cops still hadn't been out to seize any CCTV. So what I was doing is saying, can you at least burn it off and save it? And then we will contact the OIC, the officer in charge, via the victim, and say to the officer, it's there, ready for collection. So now I find myself more and more dealing with that side of the world. So again, going back full circle, difference between surveillance operative and private investigator. I do get questions pretty much bi-weekly / monthly of, I want to be a private investigator. What do you recommend I should do? Two things. Surveillance operatives, pretty much anybody can do it. I would always recommend you go on a course. There are courses out there. That's a matter for you to choose which you think is the best course for you. From that, hopefully you can then get onto the circuit and become a surveillance operative. A private investigator, I dare I say, without being lambasted, being a cop massively helps, because it needs that investigative skill set and doing more than just being a surveillance operative. And final point, when it comes to Verity's email, when she sort of said, can I do it whilst keeping my other job? Absolutely. I would advocate having a second income in this job, because sometimes, unless you're retired or you've got a partner with good money or you previously earned good money, it's quite hard or to get enough jobs in per week to support you. Unless, of course, like a couple of people I know, they've absolutely thrown themselves into the industry, highly motivated individuals, work all the time, work for everybody, do everything, and it works for them. But I think they're in the minority. We're nearly there. God, blood through this one, aren't we? Blood, I'll tell you what, 2 flat whites, Shabba ranks. Final, I'll throw this one under Monat month. Monat month. I like to finish up Monat month. So I've had a job recently, and I got 4 days work out of it. Dirty Blackpool. Sorry if anybody listens to this who lives in Blackpool, but why the hell would you live in Blackpool? What a shithole. So 4 days in Blackpool, holy schmoly. So decent money, as you'd expect for 4 days wedge. So we get a conclusion for the client, because obviously I'm like super PI and brilliant and great. That's why you should hire me if ever you got a consideration for a job. So client come back to me recently and they're like, yeah, I know what you said, but are they really having an affair? Are they like, oh, are they really? And you're like, kind of proved it last time. And she's like, really? Can you do it again for me? So I'm like, I can. I mean, like I said, I'll always be honest with you and give you the facts and my opinion. But hey, if you're going to throw money at me, who am I to say no? So it's like, right. So what price are you going to do it for? So I was like, and again, if you listen to the previous shows, you know, like me and discount, I'm just like, I'm in one respect, I'll give it you because I'm just daft and a crap businessman. But if you ask for it, it just turns me off. I'm just like, no. So I set the price out, which was like the exact price what I charge. And I'm hovering over the text, thinking, shall I just send her that? And then I was like, do you know what? Because you're a returning customer, and obviously she paid me 4 days before. I'm like, I'll do you some discounts. So I pinged it over. So it comes back and she puts, actually, what I was thinking is, and she's like massive reduced my fee. She's like, actually, what I was thinking is, I'll pay you this, and I don't really want I just want a couple of photographs. I don't want like the full surveillance. I just want a couple of photographs, and you can just get one of your students to do it. I don't need a proper operator or anything like that, because I just need a couple of photographs. Oh, dear. So I read that, and I do what I always do. I read it, put it down, and went, I'm coming back to that in an hour's time. So I came back to it an hour later, and I'm like, right, now I can write a proper response rather than a knee-jerk response. So, of course, I put, I don't employ students, which, oh, God, I have to get that message out as well. Oh, keep remembering stuff. I don't employ students. I'm sorry, people out there, because what I put is I don't employ students. I employ experienced, and again, there are new operatives out there who I will employ as long as they're competent and people tell me that they're competent and I've worked with them and I know that they're competent. So I don't preclude anybody who's quite new on the circuit, but obviously I want people that I know are good. But I don't employ students. Not quite sure what you mean by I only need a couple of photographs, because you either do surveillance or you don't do surveillance. There's not I'll just ignore that bit that they did, and I'll just take that other photograph when she's doing something else. But she only wanted a couple of photographs. She didn't need to know about that. Like you have surveillance or you don't have surveillance. There's no grey area. And I said, and to be fair, if I get someone in, they cocks it up. If I get a student on it and they cock it up, then one, I'll lose money, because you'll want your money back for the next 3 days, and I'll lose my reputation. I mean, who's going to come to me when they go, he cocked it up, just put a student on it, like put his lad on it, who took a couple of photographs and job was shit. So I sent it one back and went, no, not doing it. My price, I said, that's my bottom price. I said, I don't even normally give discount. I was quite professional. I said, I don't even normally give discount, but that's it. That's my thing. And I've reached the point now where I'm like, if you want to go away and find somebody else, then that's fine. My price is my price, because I know you're going to get quality stuff, because I do most of it. And then guess what? That quick, she comes back to me and says, yeah, okay, then I'll pay that price. Just trying it on. Just trying it on, aren't they? Just trying it on. So that reminds me. So I'm just about to wrap up, unfortunately, because it flies by, doesn't it? I don't know if it's been 10 minutes or 15 minutes, this podcast, but it flies by. Flies by when you're having fun. I'm having fun again, guys. I'm loving life again. So I get a message on the subject of students. Do you take students on? So I get a WhatsApp to my work WhatsApp, and if you listen to this show, take it as intended. Good morning. Do you take on investigation trainees? ? My response: hi. Unfortunately, I do not. Thank you. What I wanted to put was, and if I did, I certainly wouldn't give you a job on the strength of not introducing yourself, not sending me a CV, not giving me any background, just put in from an unknown number, good morning, do you take on investigation trainees? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just too harsh on these people, and maybe I should just be more chilled, but I just thought, brilliant. Brilliant. I wonder if they went to Job Centre and went, oh yeah, today I applied to be a private investigator, applied to be a teacher, and applied to be a builder, but unfortunately they all kicked back and said I couldn't have a job. All right then, yeah, sign on for another week. Anyway, that's been me. buymeacoffee.com/DOAPI. I've had 3 people give me some beans and saying that they love the show and please come back and please carry on, and Nathan, you're brilliant. Or I might be paraphrasing there actually slightly. So thank you to Will, Jacqueline and Kath for donating. If you guys want to donate, I'm getting to the point now where I don't know what else to buy. I've got my t-shirt, I've got my hoodie, and I've got my mug, and I've got my pens. So any suggestions on what I can buy next, I might can be sponsored by Dolos Investigations. On a final note, I had loads of feedback about the Jacqueline Allen episode that I did. Loads of people enjoyed it. Kudos to Jacqueline. When I was down in London town the other day, I did actually meet her for a cheeky pint to find out what else is happening in her life, and I don't have permission to tell you what the next chapter is. But boys and girls, there is another chapter in Jacqueline's life. So I'll leave that little cliffhanger there. As always, thank you for your support. Thanks for listening. Thanks for getting your arm around my shoulder these last couple of months. And that's been episode 21, and I'll speak to you next month.